Hey guys, James here from TCGU University, and I'm going to be continuing our Grand Archive set review, set ponder over the Alchemical Revolution stuff. We're going to be going over both the starter deck stuff underwater and all the stuff from the base set as well. So make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out the other content in this set of videos we're going to do. We're going to have one for, I believe, every single one of the elements. And then let's get into it. We'll start with the Alchemical Revolution stuff from the set. Actually, we should go with the regular one, huh? Probably better, so I know what isn't a repeat. So obviously we have our Spirit of Water. It's on enter, draw 7, you know, cool basic stuff. The next card in the set is Nico Whiplash Allure. She's a level 2 Guardian Human champion. Whenever a card with floating memory is banished from your graveyard, you put a lash counter on her. On champion hit, you may have that opponent put the top X cards of their deck into their graveyard, where X is the amount of lash counters on Nico. It's really cool. It is a mill mechanic, basically sort of built to kind of rush down your opponent and make them run out of cards. I know Noah is going to fall in love with this character and is going to do nothing but try to mill your opponent out. So, next one is Cascading. I guess we'll do like the 1 through 5 rank we usually have. I think she's really middle of the ground. I think you have to get really good at the disruption to make her very, very good. So I'm putting her like 2 to a 3. I think if a mill deck is a very good, strong deck, I think she's going to be a 5 because I think mill is one of the almost uninteractable stuff. But floating memory's out there, so it's almost like a combative thing to mill. But I know Noah is going to love this character. Next is Cascading Round. Regalia item, Ranger Bullet, renewable. Tap, you load the Cascading Round into target unloaded gun you control. And then on hit, put the top card of your deck into your graveyard. Just kind of hits and mills the card so you can put in more floating memory for your deck. I actually think it's like a 3 to 4 depending on. I want to see how Ranger plays with the whole way it plays. I think renewable for it makes it disgusting, which is why it's like an auto 3-4 for me. I want to see how much floating memory Ranger's going to have when we get to it, but for right now I'm sitting about 3-4 if Ranger has some really good floating. Next is Crystalline Mirror. So Regalia item, Cleric accessory. Whenever Fantasia enters the field under your control, glimpse 1. Then class bonus, banish the mirror. Destroy target item with memory cost of 0 or reserve cost of 3 or less. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more Fantasias. It's really cool. I wonder how. I know there's a lot of curses that I believe are Fantasias, and I'm not sure if the domains are not, but the fractals are. That's cool. So fractals, you could do it. So like this is doing a cool fractal thing. I guess a mirror would be a fractal. But I see it more as like a anti-curse deck, anti-curse cards, maybe like a side deck card. I'm going to go 2 right now. Though if you are having Fantasias on your board, the idea of hitting a memory cost 0 is very, very strong in my opinion. Mage Bane Lash. It's a one cost water. Regalia weapon, Guardian Slash, a Guardian Lash. Class bonus on enter, you put a lash counter on your champion. Really cool with Nico. And then Mage Bane gets +1 for each lash counter on your champion. Again, Nico's solid weapon. Nico bonus, whenever your champion is dealt non-combat damage, you recover 2. Pretty sick. I think this card is exclusively just to make Nico worth it. I think they saw in my opinion, it looks like they saw the error of having Alan, Tristan, and them and not have something that really makes them stand out, at least competitively, and made something that's competitive. The thing that scares me the most on this is this solid 4 right here. She can just play this late game, have a bunch of counters on her, and just whip you to death. Granted, some people may like that, but not in my friendly card game. I think with Nico, this thing's a 5. I think on its own, you're probably looking at like a 2 to 3. It's a reusable weapon for Guardian. Has 4 counters on it, so like maybe you get some longevity out of that. Get some good turns through attack with, especially with the +1 attack. So like it's a 1/4 weapon, so like it's not terrible. So like I think Guardian in itself can use it, but under Nico, this thing's a solid 5. You got Airship Cruiser. 3 costs Human Ranger Ally. Range 2, so as long as it's distant, gets +2 to its stacks. And then class bonus for Ranger, it gets floating memory. Makes it scary for what we were talking about earlier. I think this is a solid 3-4. It's just a solid card in general. I think I'm curious to see how good distance gonna be. So we'll see. Aqueous Armor. Fantasia Guardian spell. Ally link. At the beginning of your recollection phase, put the top card of your deck into your graveyard. The linked ally gets +2 health. Really good at making sure your guys live longer, and then as long as they live, you get to mill, which is very good for Water, who wants to put floating memory into their deck, into their discard pile. I think this card's a solid 3. Actually, I'll give it a solid 4 because I think there's a lot of cool characters you want to keep on board sometimes that you choose not to play because they're easy to kill, and this may give you a reason to play them. Awakened Deacon. 2-cost ally cleric automaton. As long as you control 2 or more Fantasias, Awakened Deacon has Intercept, which is really cool. It's a 1/3. And then class bonus for the cleric, it gets the cool Floating Memory. I love class bonus Floating Memory. It's great. I'm actually really excited for this card. Awakened Frostguard. It's a 2-cost ally Guardian automaton. Has a class bonus of Foster, which Guardians, it's like Guardian's keyword. Like how Ranger has ranged, Guardian I see has a lot of Foster cards. Foster, since I don't know if we've seen it yet, is if a card is not touched or dealt any damage by the beginning of his next turn, if it has the Foster keyword, it becomes what is known as Fostered. While Fostered, it gets a buff counter. It gets a 1/1 counter, both for health and whatnot, that it keeps on for the turn. And then there are other cards that like interact with Fostered. On Foster, you may banish up to 2 cards with Floating Memory from graveyard. For each card banished this way, you put another buff counter on the Frostguard, and then you draw a card, which is very, very good. And then Awakened Frostguard has Vigor as long as it is Fostered. So as long as it's not, so basically it keeps getting the counters, and as long as it's not touched, it's considered Foster. So every single turn your opponent has to at least deal 1 damage to the Frostguard, or it's going to keep its fostered state and keep all of its cool abilities. So for me, this is like a 4. I would say 5, but I think, in my opinion, Foster feels a little slow. I want to see how it plays. I'm probably going to play a lot of Guardian, so like I'm excited to see how it plays. For me, Fostered feels a little slow, but I like this card in general. I think this card's a 4. Depending on how good Fostered is, probably a 5. This card is my favorite art of the set. It is Calculated Foresight. I love chess stuff. I love chess pieces and chess boards, and just looking at this is just sick to me. Calculated Foresight's a 2-cost Ranger skill action. It's a slow speed, so you can't play it on your opponent's turn. But you put the top 2 cards of your deck in your graveyard, then you banish a card with Floating Memory from your graveyard, and if you do, your champion gains range 3 until the end of the turn. I believe it's really good with Ranger. She has the ability to put herself at constant distant, or she can break her lineage to do distant. I'm not going to pull it up. We probably talked about it already on the podcast the other day. I just don't remember. But giving range 3 to your champion and having the ability to put herself at distant with other cards if it's not on her own character is very, very good. Range 3 is just going to increase your damage by 3, which is really sick. Your milling cards, so you have a chance of putting 2 Floating Memory in there. And if not, you just are milling out options, which is pretty fine. This card, depending on how she can get her distant, would be, in my opinion, like a 3 to 4 in Water and 4 in Ranger. Honestly, looking at this, a 2-drop mill 2 seems pretty good to me. So, I mean, I'm not against it, because it doesn't just have to be Ranger. Just in Water, it's a 2-drop. It's a 2-drop spell that says mill 2, which sometimes speeds up water like Floating Memory deck. So like it could be a neat card. I'm still gonna sit around 3 to 4. We'll see how it goes. Conjure Downpour, 3-cost cleric spell action. It has fast speed, so it's playable during your opponent's turn. Until the end of the turn, whenever a unit attacks, that unit gets -2 attack. This card's disgusting. It just says for the turn, you take 2 less damage from everything. The problem I have is Water's already really slow. We don't need something to slow down Water. It's why I like Fostered when it comes to Water, because it speeds up Water, gives you cool things to do. Water has enough defense. I understand Cleric now gets its own class bonus, which says you draw a card into memory. I want to talk about this, but Cleric has like its own stuff, and like cleric specific stuff. You want to play like cleric spells if in the future it needs class bonus, like spells type stuff. I get it. Next part on this card is class bonus memory 4+, which means you have to have 4 cards in your memory to trigger the class bonus. So not only do you have to have 4 cards in your memory, you also have to have the cleric, which means it's doubly hard to get it. It's not super difficult. Cleric has a bunch of these, or at least Arisana does, where you have to have memory 4 for a lot of her stuff. My guess is you're going to be spending a lot to make the potions, which is just going to instantly put you at memory 4. So, like, I think it's fine. But it just feels doubly bad if you're not playing Arisana, which is what I feel like the memory 4s are built for. Draw a card into your memory is the second half of that ability. It's a really good ability, but, like, it feels dejecting to dump your entire hand just to get 1 card for later. Not current, just for later. But it is a neg 2 cross turn. It is a neg 2 for a turn, so like it means you're going to live for the next turn most likely. But still, it just feels bad sometimes. I think this honestly is like a 4. If it didn't have the memory 4, I'd say it's a 5. But I understand why it has a memory 4. I believe just the way Arisana works and how they want to slow it down a little bit. Because having a 3 cost that just says you draw a card for next turn seems really good. So I get it. Next is Convalescent Tonic. It's an item cleric potion. It's a 3 cost. You can brew it by brewing with 1 Frazier. You just sack it from Arisana. Sacrifice the Convalescent Tonic. Put up to 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Then draw that many cards and recover 3. I think this card is really cool. I am a big fan of Recover. I use it a lot. I take my 28, 29 health character and give him like 40 health just by playing my deck. Like I like extending lifespans and doing cool things for longer. I like this card because just 1 Frazier means it just costs 1 basically to play this. You just have to specifically pull out Frazier, which I get. It's random. It's one of my least favorite parts. If you watch the first part for the characters in the material deck or the normals, I hate Arisana's randomness. To me, it's not fun. It's not cool. It's just not enjoyable. I want the randomization from the card game to be what I draw and how I shuffle for the turn. I don't want it to be everything I play during the turn. I hate the way memory works. I get it. It's fun. It's unique. It's different. I think making your opponent plan better and making you plan better would just be better as a competitive standpoint rather than just a enjoyability standpoint. But that's a me thing. This card in general, though, I think is like a 4. For me at least, because I love Recover. We got Dahlia, Idyllic Dreamer. Screw this normal version. Going with this version. It's unique ally ranger automaton. 3 drop. Class bonus on attack. You look at the top card of your deck. If it's a water element, you can put it into your graveyard. It's just more mill. Water really likes to mill itself. Then Dahlia has ranged X, where X is the amount of water element cards in your graveyard. She kills people. Literally, that's all she does is she kills people. If you leave her on the board and she gets to swing and she's at distant, your opponent dies. Especially the way water plays. Water mills everything. This thing has distant 10. She swings for 11. This is the most disgusting card in water, in my opinion, right now when it comes to kill spells. The only thing closer is a Rye or a Merlin Frost. What is it? The Frost Brew, the one that hits for level +1. That's the only other thing that I think kills better than this Dahlia. But that's, again, only Ranger can really do it because the Ranger's the only thing playing like distance stuff for it. But like, it's disgusting how good ranged X is. Anything like that to me is just crazy good. This card's a 5 to me. 5, by the way. 5. Art 2. Art's also a 5. Diffuse Block is the next card. It's a 2 cost action guardian skill reaction. It's a fast action. This card costs 1 less to activate if you control shield item, so it's a 1 drop. You prevent the 2 next damage that will be dealt to target unit this turn, and then class bonus floating memory. It's a 1 drop that says you get to make sure your dude lives, which is very good, especially in water. Because water has a habit, in my opinion, of playing less dudes and more spells, and it makes it really hard because if you do play dudes, sometimes they're just not that great, but you play them because you kind of need to keep board state. And this gives you a reason to to protect dudes and play other dudes that, in my opinion, I stopped playing because they felt like they just died. You put them on board, and then your opponent next turn goes dead, and then swings through you anyways, and it just feels bad. This card to me is a 4. It doesn't overly do too much. It prevents 2 damage, which is like the exact amount it needs to prevent. Has floating memory, which is great. Costs 1 less only in Guardian, basically, because you'll have the shield item. I don't think it's like a 5. It's not like going over the top or doing anything crazy like Idyllic Dreamer or anything, but it's still a very, very good card, especially in Guardian. So I'm going 4. Man, we still have a bunch, huh? We got Dormant Sacrificial Altar. It's a 2-cost domain cleric crossroads. On enter, you draw a card in your memory. Really good card. It just says it replaces itself on play. Then you sacrifice an automaton ally and a human ally, and you put the top 2 cards of your deck into your graveyard. Honestly, I think the only reason you would play this is to basically like kind of upstart goblin in your deck. If you want to play for this, to mainly just say on enter, you draw a card in your memory. Get more domains out in terms of like Guardian. Would love that. Have more domains out for its late game. Or just in general, just to have something else on the board in terms of just, I don't know, having things to sack for later, I guess. I don't know. Because honestly, I don't know why you would ever sack 2 allies just to mill 2 cards unless you absolutely wanted more water cards in your discard pile. Just saying. This card to me, it's like a 2. I don't see the reason why you would want to play it. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. But sacking 2 dudes just to mill 2 cards seems bad. And the draw on enter doesn't give me enough reason to play this card right now. Unless I'm playing we were joking about it, but like Domain Expansion Guardian. Or you're playing this, which I think this is a perfectly good reason to play this. Because it says you can swing with dudes, sack them, put more things in your discard pile, and then range next to your opponent. But those are 2 different things. So like in general, this card's like a 2 to me. It could be better. And I don't know why you would want to sack 2 dudes. Next up, we got Flash Freeze. It's a 4-drop action, or fast action cleric spell reaction. Class bonus for clerics. You cost 2 less, so it's a 2-drop. Negate target activation unless its controller pays level. Banish the card that had its activation. Had its activation negated that way. Who cares? We already have this, but it's your opponent pays 2 more. This card is unless your opponent pays level. We'll talk about it because it's the only reason I'm saying that card's bad. And I'll always say that card's bad. Where is it? It's somewhere. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'll find it. I'll find it. Oh no. Oh boy. Am I just blind? Nope, there it is. Tether and Flames. This card is the reason why I think the water ones are bad. Negate target activation unless your opponent pays life. See, that's disgusting. And it's pay your life too, so it's whatever your level is. Your opponent pays life equal to your level. So like cards like Rye and cards like Merlin just abuse this card under fire, especially with like Merlin having its sword abilities, Rye having the 11-drop and a bunch of other things. And then just having the ability to having Fireball, disgusting. Who cares about the class bonus? It's a 3-drop. Who cares? Negate your activation. Pay my. I'm a level 9. Please pay 10 life to play your card. No, okay, cool. That's the reason I don't like these cards. I feel like they're bad. I'm still gonna side them if there's ever if I feel like I need them, but like it just feels bad. When like max, I'm level 3, max, my opponent's level 3, and we're just not doing anything with it, right? So like my opponent pays 3 life for the 4-drop I played, or the 2-drop if you're a cleric, and then it's not negated. So like you paid 2, your opponent just paid 3 life, played their thing anyways, and the reason you're playing this is probably because it puts you in a bad situation. It just feels bad. So, in my opinion, this card's like a 2 to a 1. I get negation is still having a negate is still really good. I just think in parallel to Tether and Flames, this is like a 0 compared to Tether and Flames being a 5. Next up, but like I said, I'm going like 1-2. I wish it was better. Fractal of Snow. It's a 2-cost Fantasia Cleric Fractal. It's reservable. Class bonus for clerics. Sacrifice the Fractal. The next time one or more allies would enter the field this turn, they enter the field rested. This card just says if you know your opponent's about to play a bunch of dudes, you tap all their dudes for the turn so you just don't get hit in the face. It's really good, I would guess, the turn after you board wipe your opponent, or in terms of wind, playing this very early and not letting your opponent just slap you very fast. That's just the way I feel. Honestly, I don't know how it'll play, but for me, this card feels like a 2. It feels like it's too slow, and I don't think people play enough allies to where resting one character, maybe 2 averagely in the meta right now is good enough. Like, Lorraine's like the only thing you really want to hit with it. Next up is Freezing Round. It's a 2-drop Ranger bullet item. Tap, you load Freezing Round to an unloaded gun. On champion hit, that player banishes a card at random from their memory. Return the card back in, and then at the end of the next end phase, at the beginning of their next end phase, and then class bonus Floating Memory. Really easy card. I think this card's a 4 of in Water Ranger. This card is also a 4 in general. It's just really decent card. Does what Water wants, does what Ranged wants, Ranger wants, and Floating Memory is also very, very good. Next up is Frigid Bash. It's a 3-drop Guardian Shield attack. 2 damage. It costs 2 less if you control a shield item. So it's a 1-drop with Guardian. Class bonus on hit. The hit unit does not wake up during its controller next end phase or wake phase unless that controller pays 2. I think this card's like a 4. It's as good as Freezing Hail. Your opponent paying... oh, this wasn't pay life. This wasn't pay life. This was... this one's pay... just pay 2 to play. So like this one's... They have to pay 3 more of this. Just as good as the other one. That's terrible. I hate it. I'm sorry. I got upset by it. I'm sorry. I'm skipping it. On hit, the unit doesn't wake up unless it's during the controller's next end phase or wake phase. Sorry, unless that controller pays 2. It's an optional cost at the resolution of this trigger. Oh, that's cool. So they have to pay 2 right here on hit to be able to do it. That's neat. This card actually got better to me. I thought it was just at wake phase you could pay the 2. But this one's just right now. The optional cost is paid upon the resolution of this trigger. That's neat. So they have to do it immediately on hit. So like if they don't have enough cards in hand, they can't do it. That's neat. I'm down. Okay, this card got better in my opinion. This card went from like a 3.5 to 4 into almost like 4.5, 5. I want to say 5 just because I know there are some ways to buff this with Guardian. And I think freezing is very good. And having the ability to attack in water, which is a slower style deck, is very, very good. I've learned that playing Water Merlin a lot. So this one's like a 4 or 5 right now. Next up, we got Genie, the Gifted Mechanist. It's a 3-cost unique ally cleric human. Pay 2 tap, banish a card from your graveyard. The banished card was an automaton ally. You summon an automaton drone token, and then if the banished card was a floating memory card, you put 2 buff counters on an automaton ally you control. I think the worst part about this card right now, in my opinion, is it only has 2 health. And it costs 2. It costs 2.5 basically to play anything. Like the tap doesn't bother too much because you're not really gonna attack. It just means if you buff something if you buff your board for the turn, Ginny can't attack. It's the idea is just so he's a 0 cost. They don't want him to attack. They want him to do cool things. But having 2 health means he gets bonked off a lot. It's in my opinion, it's really easy to have a 2-hit character, 2-attack character, or a 2-hit spell. Especially under fire and wind, like this card just doesn't live. If it does, neat. I haven't seen, from everything I've seen, like everything likes to play with automaton allies. I have not seen why they would be so good. Sometimes they feel a little clunky. Like pay 2 to give buff counters is real neat. Pay 2 to spawn a dude is real neat. Like it's that this isn't not the worst one I've seen of the ones. Like there's some pay 5, pay 6, play a dude, and that to me just feels bad. But the worst part for me is this 2. So I'm putting this at like a 2.5. I'll put it at a 3 if I really do like end up liking automaton allies. But right now I don't. They seem very clunky and slow. But I do like his ability. His ability is very cool, and I enjoy what his ability is doing. It just feels too slow, and he's too easily to kill. Like, I get it, like, we have, like, diffuse block, but it just feels like he'd just die anyways. It's real hard. So, like I said, 2, 3.5, 4. I'll even go 4 if I really do like automatons, but I'm thinking it's like a 2 right now. Hypothermia. I think this card's disgusting. This card is a cleric spell action, slow speed, so only playable on your turn. It's a 2-drop. Target rested ally gets -4 health until the end of the turn. This is just a kill spell. It's real neat. Water kind of needed it in terms of kill spell. Water doesn't do a very good job of killing people, in my opinion. It does a very good job of holding people down, but it can only do that for so long. This just says kill something, which, in my opinion, water needed. Just neg 4 health is really, really good. This one's a 4. I wouldn't say it's a 5 because it's not impressively getting you anywhere. You still have to have something else you're doing, but this will get you out of tight situations with really buff dudes. So, like, I really like it. Crystalline Archer, it's a 2-drop. Ranger ally human. Class bonus, it gets range 3. And then on attack, you can banish a card with floating memory from your graveyard. And if you do, you draw a card and he becomes distant. This card just says if you're milling a bunch of cards in Ranger, he swings and he swings for 4. A 4 damage swing that says draw a card is disgusting. I think banish to just become distant is good enough for this. I hate that it's a 2-drop. This is draw a card and get distant. And give yourself 3 attack. Sorry guys. But like ranged is very, very good. This card's disgusting in my opinion. This card's a 4. I almost kind of want to say 5 because it draws you a card. This card was a 4 without the draw, in my opinion, still. It's a 4/2 2-drop in Ranger, and all you have to have is floating memory, which is what water does. Disgusting. Next up is Crystalline Distiller. It's a 3-drop cleric human. Class bonus on enter. If you've brewed a potion this turn, draw a card in your memory. I think this card's disgusting with Arisana and just any of the cleric. Like, just being able to brew something, play your potion, and then just draw a card in your memory for next turn while putting a 1/3 ally on the board is really, really good. This card's a solid 4 in my opinion. It's not super overpowered, but it gives you somewhere. It gives you a dude on board, has good defense, draws you a card for next turn. Super, super strong. This card I really, really like, but I don't think it's going to be as usable as I wish it was. Perfect Repulsion. It's a 2-cost fast action cleric spell reaction. The next time a target unit you control would take exactly X damage, you prevent that damage where X is the amount of cards in your memory, and then you draw a card if damage was prevented this way. So you have to know exactly, so your opponent swings, and you have to have the right amount of cards in your memory to prevent all of it, which is really neat, except it doesn't prevent, it only prevents it if it's exactly that damage. Or it only prevents if you would take exactly X damage, prevent that damage. Like if your opponent goes, cool, I'll buff it by 1. After you play this spell does nothing, and I hate it. And then nothing's prevented. You don't draw a card. I think it'd be fine if this card said draw a card afterwards and just said try to prevent, but like it still just feels bad. This card's really fun when I look at like Ari-san and the way she wants to play with her memory and do stuff. The card seems real fun, very interesting, but I think it's very hard to manipulate your memory that much, especially when you're trying to prevent exact damage to get the buff out of this card, which is just honestly the draw of this card doesn't matter because it's only usable if you actually get the card off, which makes the card only usable if you're preventing damage, which I think is incredibly hard to do. So in my opinion, this card's a 1. I think it's incredibly hard right now to do what it wants to do, which won't even give you your second half of the card anyways. So like it just seems bad, in my opinion. Next one, I love this. It's a Potion Infusion Clarity. It's a 7-drop cleric spell, fast action. Class bonus, it costs 2 less, so it's only a 5-drop. Yeah, because only. Rest target potion, and if you do, it gains on sacrifice, draw 2 cards, which is very, very good. I actually think this card's really, really cool. I hate that it costs 5. I wish you could sacrifice other like what would they call it, gather materials or whatever. You sack other of your herbs. Herbs was the word I was looking for, I guess. Sacrifice your herbs, and then for every herb you sacrifice, you cost like one less. So like if you stack up on herbs, you can sack them to make this cost less, so you could get this one cool ability that says on sacrifice draw 2. Like it just feels, pay 5 to do it just feels real bad in my opinion. This card's like a 3. I think it could be very useful, but I'm worried about how much a 5 cost will matter. Potion Infusion Frostbite. It's a 1-drop. Cleric spell, fast action. Rest target potion. If you do, it gains on sacrifice rest target unit. The next time that unit would take damage from a water element source this turn, it takes that much damage plus 4 instead. This card's very, very good. Except you can only play it in cleric unless you want to fill your deck with the mana, with the potions, which isn't a terrible thing. It just feels very, it feels very just cleric. It's not overly useful in anything else, and you have to have an option to be able to hit your opponent, which hitting your opponent for plus 4 is very, very good. So like, I'm not going to say it's not, especially on a 1-drop. This card's a 4. It just, it's still an on sacrifice. You have to rest a potion. So like, and resting a potion doesn't do anything. So like, I don't know why rest a potion needs to be there. Ooh, mirror matchup, rest target potion, rest your opponent's potion. Don't know what that would do, but it seems funny. Next up, we got Reconnaissance Field. It's a 3-cost ranger spell, Fantasia. On enter, you look at your opponent's hand, and then look at their memory. And then class bonus, you tap it. Target unit gains ranged 1 and true sight until the end of the turn. I hate true sight. It feels bad. I'd never run into problems with stealth, but I guess currently the meta hasn't had much stealth characters anyways. Maybe that'll change going forward. But ranged 1 doesn't feel good, in my opinion. Plus 1 damage is cool. And I guess you give it to anything. That's not, I guess that's not terrible. Oh, it's a spell? Oh, it's a Fantasia Ranger spell? Man, oh, so this stays on board. You can use it constantly? Never mind. I'm fine with this. This says once per turn you can give plus 1 and true sight to everything, to something, as long as you can get distance out of it, obviously, Ranger. I'm down. Once per turn, plus 1 damage if you play this early enough. It's very useful. Oh, never mind. This card's like a 3. It's slower, in my opinion, for how Ranger will probably play, but it's not terrible. Refresh Chamber. It's a 2-cost Ranger skill. Action slow. Materialize a bullet from your material deck. Then you may banish a card with floating memory from a graveyard. And if you do, put Refresh Chamber into your memory. This card's really cool and lets you kind of pop off as Ranger. I think this card's a 4. As long as you have the floating memory, this card says materialize a bullet, which you can put back. I believe there's a renewable bullet that goes back. And then you can put this in your chamber. You put this in your memory and then have it for next turn again. So like, it's really cool to be able to pop off like that. I like it. Rhyme Soul Bishop. 3-drop cleric human ally. On enter, you banish a card with floating memory from a graveyard. And if you do, draw a card. Basic thing that Water's doing now. That has floating memory. This card's really good. I think this card's a solid 3. It's a 2/2, so it kills things and it's kills things 2 or less, and it's can be killed by things 2 or less. But at least has to sack with 2 1s. Has floating memory on its own. Gets rid of floating memory to draw a card and replace itself in hand. I think this card's just all around just good. It's not super overpowered, not super underpowered. Just about right where I think Water wants things to be. I like that everything Water has right now is saying banish card, floating memory to draw a card. Because the only thing Water really has going for it is floating memory right now. And I think that's a design point they should look at. Though I think everything they set points in certain directions and I like it. But they are also, I guess, characters like style specific. Like Ranger, this says the only set that has Ranger and is the only set that plays with distant and range right now. They're the only ones that play with, will get with using herbs. So that's one thing. They have, what is it? We were talking about it earlier. It's up here. They have, where'd it go? I had it earlier. Oh, they play with memory stuff. That's right. They're playing with memory stuff, which doesn't, to me, isn't like great. And then and then we have Foster, right? Yeah. Foster, range, distant. Sea Sprite Diver is our next one up. It's a 4-cost Ranger Automaton ally. As long as your opponent has 4 more cards in their graveyard, it costs 1 less. So mid to late game, or even really early mid to late game, it's a 3-cost. On enter, you banish a card in a graveyard, so you can banish yours if you really need to. Kind of just get rid of pieces your opponent can pick up, or if you just don't want them to be able to see things later, I guess, if they have something like that. It's a 2/3, decent card. A little heavily costed, but it is, I guess, it's a 3 not a 4. You have to look at it. Depending on how automatons will work, because I think this could be a very cool card if automatons are useful more than I think they will be. And banishing a card in the graveyard is very, very good for like floating memory mirror matches. So it's neat. Solid 3. Maybe, yeah, 3. It's a 2/3. Shatterfall Keep. It's a 3-cost unique domain cleric cataclysm. Tap, banish a card with floating memory from your graveyard. Put the top 2 cards of your deck into your graveyard. I don't know how I feel about banishing floating memory on the chance of hitting 2 more floating memory. So the only reason I feel like you would play this card is for this one. Dahlia is really good with this card, but I don't know why else you would want to play it. At the upkeep, at the beginning of the Requiem phase, if you have less than 3 water element cards in your graveyard, you have to sack the Shatterfall. So like, it's whatever. I think the only good part about this card would be late game for this. Other than that, unless you're trying to get domain stuff, like I said, with Dimension Expansion Guardian, that's about it. I don't know what else you would do, honestly. I wish this card was better. I don't know why you would want to ban... Like, the problem I have is I don't know why you would want to pay 3 to play this card to then banish a card with floating memory from your graveyard to just mill 2 more cards. It doesn't feel good. Like, it just doesn't. Like, if it was banish a card with floating memory from your graveyard when you play this, or like 2 played as like an extra cost, and then just had the tap mill 2 cards, I'd be fine with it. And then it could say if you have less than like 1 floating memory, if you have less than 1 floating memory in your discard pile, you have to sack it at the beginning of your recollection. I'd be fine with that. To me, that'd be a much better way of having this card be useful without feeling overbearing. Whatever. I think this card's like a 2. I don't see the reason in playing it. I can understand if you have certain goals in mind. Like we said, Dahlia is real neat. Having more mill is really good. But other than that, I don't see a reason to play it. Next up is Storm of Thorns. 2-drop Guardian Skill Reaction Fast Action. If damage would be dealt to a unit you control this turn, prevent 1 of that damage. And if that damage prevented had a unit as its source, you deal 1 damage to that unit. This also has floating memory. This card's really good. It says deal 1 damage back to something, prevent some damage to make something live. And then also has floating memory. It's an easy card to get off, easy card to protect a dude, and it's just reusable to be able to pitch to play other things. I'm going to be playing 4 of this card. Real easy card. This card's a 4. It's not 5, doesn't go over the top, doesn't do anything, but really, really good. Stream of Consciences. It's a 2-cost cleric spell, fast action, class bonus, memory 4+ again. Glimpse 3, draw a card in your memory. Glimpsing's real neat. It's really cool, and at least in Arisana, because she has the cool star calling thing. So glimpsing's really neat. A 2-drop drawn card in memory is not terrible. But I think the only reason you would want to play it, especially in water, in my opinion, is the Glimpse 3 with Arisana. So I don't see you playing it outside of Arisana, really. But if you wanted to speed your deck up a little bit, a pay 2 to draw a card in your memory is not terrible. I think this card's a solid 3, and then 4 in her. Tactical Retreat. 3-cost Ranger Skill Reaction Fast Action. Target unit becomes distant if that unit is defending in the combat phase. Class bonus, floating memory. This card's just a 3-drop that says into battle, make a thing distant. You can make your thing distant on your turn if you want, so you can have your ranged combat, you know, for your Arisana. Or, honestly, just being able to end the combat phase is pretty cool. And have a floating memory, it's pretty cool. I think this card's a 3. I think I've seen other things that Ranger has better distant cards or creating distant, but if Ranger wanted some water defense that was in Ranger's skill set, this also has floating memory, so it's really good. Next up, we got Torrential Blast. 3-drop cleric spell, fast action. Class bonus, you mill 2 cards from the top of your deck. Deal an amount of damage to up to one target ally equal to the amount of water cards in your graveyard. This card is disgusting. I love this card. This card's very, very good. It is another, it's basically another kill spell that water has for killing dudes. It's been my biggest complaint about water so far, and I'm seeing a lot of answers to it, which is water doesn't deal damage. Water never deals damage. Wind likes to play a bunch of dudes, which can push out damage, and fire has the ability to one-shot dudes with fireball. Water didn't have anything. Now it has torrential blast. It has, we talked about the fire potion, the ice potion. It has Dahlia. It has a bunch of other options. Where was the one from earlier? Was it not tonic? It was, we had it. No, I lost it. No, I'm upset. I mean, man, this Mage Slash would also deal a bunch of, but still. But we have a cool kill target. It's really neat. Hypothermia, that's what it was. I think this is a much better card still, but this is really cool. Just having the ability. I hate that only Cleric gets the mill too. I think it would have been neat if both players got the mill too, but that's just a personal opinion. I want more mill in my deck anyways. I still may get played in water outside of just Cleric stuff. Just having the ability to one-shot a dude is really, really good. Next up is Vapor Jet Shield Bearer. It's a 2-drop Guardian Automaton ally. Steadfast. It can retaliate while rested and doesn't rest to do so. Class bonus on hit. Look at the top card of your deck. You may put that card into your graveyard. Honestly, this right here, this card's a 5, specifically just because of this ability. So your opponent swings with an ally. You retaliate with your 1/3, which is harder to kill. Hit them for 1. Cool. I'll look at the top card and mill it. They swing again. Block it. I'll retaliate. I hit them. I'll mill 1 more. I'll hit them. You killed my dude, but I'll mill 1 more because I hit you. Like, it fast mills your deck as a 1/3 that can live longer. And then, like, what is it? Where did it go? We have Aquarius Armor +2 to the linked ally. And then we get to mill a card every single turn. And so now this is a 1/5 that says every time it can retaliate and hit your opponent, it gets to mill another card. Super, super strong. Then the last card is Wave Rider Protector. It's an Allied Guardian Human. 4 costs is the 1/4, which is disgusting in my opinion. Class bonus Taunt. While awake, this ally must be targeted before the others. And then class bonus Floating Memory, which means if you do kill it, I'm going to have more fuel I can use during the next turn. I personally am going to play Guardian. This card's playing 4 of. Probably playing 4 of that. 4 of that. Where is it? 4 of where to go? I know it's here. Probably 4 of this. I think kill spells are needed. 4 of that. 4 of that. Honestly, if I can find a way to do distant, I want to play this. So I think again, this build is disgusting. 4 of this. Man, I'm gonna have such a hard. Man, I'm gonna have to work so hard to do this. I already play a min-maxed water deck too to do this. Okay, like I said, my standouts for me, in my opinion, this card's the best card in water right now. It's only playable in Ranger. It's only maxed out playable in Ranger, but it's crazy good. I love Mage Bane Nico. Really cool combos. I like what Guardian has going on with Foster. I like this card. This card's really good long game for water. Honestly, I didn't really talk about it, but I like the little mechanical stuff on the side with the gears and the water thing. That's beside the point. I like all the floating memory I'm seeing on the Guardian stuff, which is happy for me. I think there's a lot of floating memory in water in general, but I'm really excited to see what I can do with it because I really want to play Guardian, and I haven't been enjoying the game as much as I wish I have been. But I think I just haven't found a character I really like. So, thanks for checking out the video, guys. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about some of the water cards. What of my hot takes didn't you like? What of my hot takes you liked? What do you disagree on? Agree on, obviously. What do you guys think of all the cool new stuff like distant and ranged, her herbs, foster, not fostered, brood? I guess brood is what it is. Brood is the word. What you guys think of each of the different classes and how they turned out? What you guys are looking forward to this meta or coming up, because I'm really excited to see where this will go. Like I know the reason we're looking at this now is because we're starting to grind for Ontario in a couple of weeks, and I haven't touched. I didn't want to look at any cards because we were doing these videos, so I wanted to see what. I wanted to be more surprised when I got to these, so I could see how cool stuff was. Like I like the arts. I like the cool gear stuff. It's very steampunky meets like I guess BioShock is steampunk, but like BioShocky, and I really enjoy that. So let us know what you guys think. Make sure to check out the other videos in this series and the other videos going up. Let us know what you guys want to see in the future when it comes to Grand Archive content. And hopefully, I'll see you there in Ontario. Stay alert.